Hey everybody, I want to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, the band Project Revise, whose new single Downside Up you're listening to right now. Project Revise are a UK-based pop-punk band that takes early influences from the 90s and early 2000s bands such as Sum 41, Newfound Glory, and Blink-182. Honestly, it sounds like these guys have been killing it lately, supporting bands on Hopeless Records, killing it on Spotify featured playlists, and they're releasing their last single and music video of 2020, Downside Up, which is, of course, a reference to the Upside Down in Stranger Things. Make sure to stick through all the way to the end of the episode where you can hear the full song, and please check out the show notes to find out where you can find the music video and how you can support the band Project Revise. Thank you so much to the band, and let's start the episode. All right, everybody, welcome to the Christmas episode. I want to start off by thanking our newest Patreon supporter, our new emo elder, Anonymous. Now, I have concluded this is either the cybercrime fighting vigilante group, or when I Google their email address, I get a lot of articles about Russell Crowe. So I would like to thank Russell Crowe for supporting the show. Thank you.
Especially for a celebrity of that magnitude to, I guess, sign up for a $10 donation every month is like such a specific way to help
making movies, making friends, fought around the world.
I wasn't sure if I was going to bring that up. I figured you might get to it, so... but yeah, hey, thanks everybody. Thanks, Tom. Hey, how's it going, Tom? We're back in the saddle a little bit here.
Back in the saddle, 2 different locations. We were going to record 4 or 5 episodes when we were together, and after about 1.5, I just kind of sank into my chair and ran out of steam. It's been a long month. So, yeah, I'm in my place in Asheville, in my untreated room, so the sound might be a little wonky. You're back home. But Christmas is upon us. I'm actually pretty excited about it this year, man. There's a lot of different Christmas vibes than in previous years.
Whoa, personal growth much. You are Mr. Anti-holiday. If those who have been with the show for a while, Tom is notoriously anti-holiday, anti-Christmas specifically.
There's more to it than that, but you're not.
No, yeah. I don't want to hey, let's go deep into it. No, anyways, but there's been a shift.
Yes, but we're going to be talking today about what kind of Christmas song specifically, because there's many bands in the genre that have done different things.
I'll set it up. We put out a call for AMA's questions. We'll do a mailbag that'll go out on Christmas Day because it's a Friday this year, but we weren't sure if releasing our Christmas episode on the day of, it's like as soon as you go to the 26th, it kind of loses. So we're releasing this one. If you're listening to this on the Friday it got released, this will be a week out from Christmas, and then we'll do a holiday mailbag. First podcast in the history of podcasting to do a holiday mailbag episode. I'm pretty sure no one's ever done it. Anyway,
pretty sure.
Right. So we put out some questions for that mailbag, but essentially we got a lot of the same questions as you can imagine. Melissa on Patreon said, not part of an Ask Me Anything, but you all plan to do a holiday song episode. Blink and Reliant K would be on there.
Oh, yeah.
Our reactions were, yes, we've done Christmas episodes in the past, and we were like trying to keep it new every year, so how are we going to attack this one? Then we got a message from Todd on Instagram, said, what's your favorite pop punk Christmas song? For my money, it's X Miss by Newfound Glory, which is a good pick, I got to say. But we're looking, so in the past, we've looked at what did the decade give us, because the show in previous iterations was more of a how did growing up in the 2000s, kind of generational warfare, what after all the what did Gen Y really provide, I guess, from to the Christmas playlists. And I think our conclusion back in the day was, if not for that down the middle of the plate, very beautiful Reliant K Christmas album. And when I say down the middle of the plate, I mean, they took a traditional stance of, we're just going to cover our favorite Christmas songs and release an album. I think I tweeted out a couple weeks ago that one of my personal favorites, modern favorites, is the Casey Musgraves Christmas album, things like that. But there are a lot of bands, to Todd's point, like Newfound Glory, Blink-182, All Time Low, that released kind of, and when Tom and I were playing for the show, we called it a zag, which is we're stealing everything from every podcast, basically. But, if the Zig is releasing a right down the middle of the plate selection of covers, the zag would be what a lot of pop punk bands did in the 2000s, which is write an original, which is bold as hell, Can we just talk about that for a minute? Like not,
Right.
it's weird that every band, regardless of genre, is kind of, or act, I should say, is expected to even do this. Can we talk about that for like a quick minute? Like what's your take on the cover versus the Christmas original? Because it's a terribly ambitious, difficult thing to do to, one, write a good one, and then for that to stick.
Right. The use of the word terribly ambitious, I would put emphasis on the word terrible most of the time. Like, just most of them are not very good, man. And you know, my thought of Christmas songs is, and this is not indicative of everyone ever, but I was in the studio with Taylor Larson, working with him at the time when a band called Youth and Revolt was recording, and they were just like, God damn it, the label wants us to do a Christmas song and we weren't planning on it. So they had to write a Christmas song in like a day. And it was just it's so weird to see the process that it kind of takes the magic out of the finished product, you know?
Well, what's interesting is the songs we picked to highlight today, and we picked 5, but we'll talk about more probably. But a theme that we'll revisit is a song that sounds very much like a song that band would produce, but like you just described, missing.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's technically Christmassy, but has just like, it's an uninspired version of what that band generally does anyhow, just worse because it's written for a purpose. But we'll get into more specifics and circumstances as we go through the list. But yeah, to Todd's point, Xmas is one of our 5 that we're going to talk about. These are the 5 attempts at originals that were zags. By zags, I mean the anti-Christmas kind of pop punky, the punky negative. I guess there's a negative energy to maybe not liking Christmas in a lot of these songs. To answer Melissa's original question, I think if we were in past holiday episodes, they've been scatterbrained as hell, but Reliant K's on there for sure. I think you like Hanson all time, and we'll get into this in the mailbag next week, but Reliant Blink's on this list that we're going to talk about today, but Reliant K is not going to get talked about today because they're the example of what, you know, is more of a traditional approach. Yeah. So let's get into it.
Let's do it. What is going on, everybody? I'm Tom.
And I'm Pat.
We're best friends, and you're listening to the Reminiscent Podcast. All right, so the 5 picks, where do you want to start?
I want to start here because I feel like there's a growing sentiment about the program that we do nothing but take absolute giant stinky dumpy dumps on the band All Time Low from Baltimore, Maryland. And when I feel very deeply that we are just being objective about this band, who is an okay band. We don't even dislike them. It's like is the thing. So we're going to talk about their Christmas song, Merry Christmas, Kiss My Ass. And we're going to talk about the video that accompanies that song, which is insane. It is it's got puppets. It's got a lot. There's a lot to it. Would I deem it unsurprisingly horny for the catalog of work All Time Low has produced? Yes, it is unsurprisingly horny. But we'll get into that maybe in a minute. Do you have any thoughts on the growing narrative, Tom, maybe only amongst ourselves, maybe this is just within our heads, that we are an All Time Low hater pod?
You know, if you would have asked me 6 months ago, do you love All Time Low? I would have said yes, like without hesitation.
Yeah, I mean, we both, Put Up or Shut Up was kind of where we cut our teeth with that band, and we did that episode with Jeremy where we talked about So Wrong It's Right. And the more we learn about the band, the more we're like, that our takes have been exposed. But our takes even haven't been exposed. It's just they became something different than what we grew up knowing them as.
Yeah.
And this Christmas episode, or this Christmas song, Merry Christmas, Kiss My Arse, is in the vein of the mid to later career. It's fun, and it's out. Should we just get into the video first? You want to talk about the song first? Let's talk about the video.
Yeah, I do want to mention, I think this is the first episode where we're going like partially uncensored. So Kiss My Ass is the first swear that intentionally made it through the show. There have been many that were unintentional
right.
that I just missed.
But you did make a point to want to bleep words like
yes.
So if we say and if comes up in any kind of context like that, you're going to bleep the word if it comes up 3 times in a row, for example, like
no.
So we're going to starting to give a about whether or not is said on the show.
Yeah, no.
Right. 0. Hey, whoa.
Well, oh.
Now you're just singing Blink songs. But this is an all-time low portion here. Okay, so
All right.
there's a man with a German accent, never addressed, comes up in an office setting to a puppet named Stuart. And he's talking to him about Christmas bonuses, and then weirdly, like in an anti-PC culture move, says, whoops, holiday bonuses. Like, all right, weird German guy, what is the energy of this video? And Stuart's cursing. He's like, you're getting a bonus? What the, and the puppet's cursing, so it's funny, it's humorous. I think it's a very entertaining video. I will say this, it's funny, it's silly. Would you go as far as to say fart punky in terms of the what we're getting comedy-wise out of the sketch at the beginning?
Oh yeah, 100% fart punk. It kind of, it's super unnecessary to like the story of the video, but I think it's really funny.
It's like, fun, yeah.
Why not? If you already have the puppets, you might as well.
Yeah, you and I watched this for the first time when I was in Asheville helping you move, and I think it's an enjoyable video for what it is, but it's weird to have to get on the mic and kind of discuss it. But Stuart, a woman in the office brings in cupcakes. The German gentleman says, "Oh, you like her?" That was a brutal German accent. But Stuart's like, yeah, but I know how she looks at everybody else. Like, there's no way she could like me. And it starts off as a very simple, lack of confidence thing in Stuart's mind, into the whole video in the song where Stuart is driven utterly mad by envisioning her getting intimate with every single coworker she interacts with that day at the Christmas party, when really it's just in his head. And at the end, she asks him out. And he's been driven so mad by these in his own brain emotions that he just storms off and says, kiss my butt. So this accompanies, your pretty traditional breakup song, I guess. I mean, what are your thoughts on how the song goes with the video overall, kind of the chaotic energy of this girl being forced to dance with these puppets throughout the video? I imagine the shooting process was somewhat humorous or a little goofy, a little silly, but it's a light, fun Christmas video, I guess, ultimately.
Yeah, I think we talked about it again, we love this song, Dear Maria, Count Me In. The music video was a hot girl and not much more, right? And they took kind of a similar approach in this one. It's definitely about the girl, but I do think the Stuart kind of freaking out moments when he's like seeing the girl in his mind flirting with the other guys, I think it's funny. Like, it's a overall carefree kind of video. I don't think it's the strongest song All Time Low has ever written.
Well, let's jump right into that.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this for each of them. Is the song good?
I'm so again, I want to remind the audience, we love All Time Low. Okay, we do.
I think this is a perfectly catchy, fine All Time Low song.
Yeah, to me, it feels like a jumping the shark kind of moment. Like, Kiss My Ass. I feel like reach the limits of how edgy you can get without it being like too self-aware, and like now you have to go back to the beginning of the cycle with like Bing Crosby in those like classic songs. Like, I feel like this was the moment where it's like we went too far into the zag, we got to go back to zig in order to like, you can't go any further.
Even So Wrong It's Right, there's a little dreaminess to it. There's a party element. They're becoming a party poppy band, or maybe that's what they've been deep down all along, but
we just didn't know.
There's at least, they don't this is the most overt they get up through Put Up or Shut Up and So Wrong It's Right to like being this negative. I mean, let's do a memorable lyric here. Quote, "No, you girl, I'm going out. I gave you my all, but our love hit a wall. Now I'm jingle belling and everyone's yelling, we'll drink till the bar shut us down. Ain't that just what Christmas is all about?" That FU they lay at the beginning of that lyric is the more aggressive than most of the All Time Low stuff I think you and I have addressed on the show. So
yeah,
like you said, jumping the shark, it's like, interesting. Maybe they're having a bad week or bad year, bad breakup that year or something. I mean, who knows if this is autobiographical, but yeah, it's a good, palatable, nice, catchy All Time Low song, except for the Christmassy.
They know how to write a
I mean,
chorus.
they're not famous by accident. These are talented young men, talented individuals, right?
Yeah, it's a great chorus. It's a fun video. It's good enough. I mean, it's not going to be my go-to if I'm looking for a Christmas song.
Yeah, a little aggressive. I don't know if I'm going to Christmas songs to do breakup stuff necessarily. Now, there's exceptions to every rule. Let's move on. Did this one become a classic?
I don't think I've ever heard about it before.
Yeah, I think this is an objective no, but it's a catchy song, pretty interesting video, interesting corner of the all-time low body of work. I will say that. You want to move on?
Yes.
Xmas, Newfound Glory. That's EXMISS. So not Xmas like the shorthand for Christmas, but this is perhaps missing an ex-lover, romantic partner, perhaps.
Speaking of Xmas, like X-MAS, did you ever get that Catholic guilt for... I went to Catholic school, and sometimes you'd abbreviate it. Like my dad always wrote Xmas, and I remember maybe my mom, who wasn't even like a good Catholic, she was just afraid of going to hell, was like, he's crossing out the Lord's name. Did you ever get that? Did you ever hear that?
I was around it, I guess, and it was explained to me on 1 or 2 or 3 occasions, but I also saw it too often in like cartoons or it's just like, right. It's written in too many, like, I don't know, if this isn't in the Charlie Brown Christmas special, don't like crucify me, I guess. But, you see it around enough where it was campy enough in my head. So even when it got explained, I'm like, I don't know. What if you run out of space? When you're writing your card to your fam. So yeah, I was aware of that, but it was never like brought down onto me as like gospel or anything.
Gotcha. For some reason, when you said like, I was thinking of animated Christmas specials. I thought of the Angry Beavers for some reason. I don't even know if they have.
I think most people would think of that first. Like, hey, Christmas special. What comes to mind? Angry Beavers.
I love that.
What else?
Show.
What else is out there of all the Christmas specials ever? No,
they might not even have one.
Dude,
but they probably do. Everyone
the
does
research department on it.
Everything.
There you go. Garfield's got. I mean, I'm sure there was at least a Christmas episode. The Garfield one's pretty good. We don't want to go down this path a week early. Xmas. No video to discuss, so let's just jump right into, is this song good?
It's fine. It's a fine song. I don't think it's a great Christmas song.
I'll give it points over, I think if we're stacking these, this comes after the all-time low one. Points for the use of bells and use of familiar melodies.
Yes.
Things that we're going to award points to Fall Out Boy for later. So there are some of these that, even though they're zagging, you're going to get some of those familiar melodies, maybe in some of the guitar work. You're going to get some of the bells at the beginning. Efforts have been made, I guess.
I wrote this when watching the video. I read your note that says like points for using bells and familiar melodies. And I wrote, definitely nice to have some of those elements rather than just adding jingle bells over a totally normal song. Cough, cough, like I'm going to do for our theme song this week. But I was confused. I'm like, you said familiar melodies. I was like, I don't recognize it at all. And then, oh shit, Jingle Bells all of a sudden comes in. I spoke too soon.
Well,
it was nice.
I don't want to talk about You'll Shoot Your Eye Out quite yet, but in some of these songs, they aren't, I think the better versions of these that we're hearing of the Zag songs, they don't overtly just rewrite Jingle Bells, but they'll take something, add it to a guitar part, kind of mix it into their new effort. And it's like, okay, they thought about this for a minute,
Yeah, it's fun. It ties it all together. But are you then relying on that as a crutch? Is like, hey, remember guys, this is a Christmas song, even though almost nothing else implies that. But
yeah, well, what's interesting about Newfound Glory is there's a pretty specific headspace I'm in if I'm going back to that well. And it's similar to the all-time low one. I'm not sure if I'm like decorating my tree, I don't know if it's like, yeah, give me some gut-wrenching Newfound Glory stuff. I think similarly to the all-time low stuff, this is a good, what it feels like a Newfound Glory song. I'm going to jump to the memorable lyrics now and say that the opening ones are the ones that caught my ear, but everything that could have went wrong this year. So you're getting right out of the gate, you're getting some heavy Newfound Glory vibes for sure. But
definitely.
Yeah, it's a fun Newfound Glory song. I don't know if it's like one of their better ones or like they're known for their covers and everything. So you kind of were hoping like perhaps they do these kind of like Nietzsche, outside their normal catalog stuff well. And it's a good song, but yeah, I'm not sure it became a classic, yes or no. I don't know. What do you say, Tom?
I mean, not for me, I guess. Again, I kind of knew it was there, but I feel like I heard it for the first time recently. And again, it's like, it's a good Newfound Glory song, which good Newfound Glory songs are very good, but I just feel like it's a little, I don't know, man, it's limiting to be a Christmas song because then you can only listen to it at certain time. I don't know, man. I have conflicting feelings about original Christmas.
Let's stop right there. Let's stop right there. There is much discussion about when it's okay to listen to Christmas songs. What are your household rules? What are your personal rules? What feels right in your heart?
It doesn't even seem like an option to listen to a Christmas song before December, I guess. It just doesn't even come to mind. So then it's like every December, it's like, oh yeah, this song exists, or like, oh yeah, these ideas. I don't know, man.
I will say the stuff that feels right during that time of year for me, and it's usually the stuff that was just on the mixes that my mom and dad had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It's really not even about the songs itself. So when I found out about Relient K later in life, I was like, oh, what? Like, oh man, we could have had, or there was a My Chemical Romance version of this song. I like both versions. Can every Christmas playlist just be All I Want for Christmas Is You renditions? We should note that we've mentioned that MCR effort in past episodes, but I don't think we're touching covers today, as we kind of previously mentioned, but I didn't want to make it seem like we're leaving too much out. But yeah, I don't think this became a classic per se. If we're looking at it from the what did the decade give us angle a little bit as well. I saw a live version on YouTube where Jordan, I guess, improvised some lyrics. She said she asked for a PlayStation. I had no cash, so I took her to Walmart, and the band just stopped playing. What version is that? And they were just having fun. So in the spirit of having fun, I don't want to take a giant dumpy on this one either. But yeah, it's fun. It's good for what it is. But yeah, we don't have to linger too long. I think ultimately, objectively, neither of these have become quote unquote classics. Let's move on to Blink-182. I Won't Be Home for Christmas. Taking a pretty standard, a lot of songs, a lot of notions about going home, being home for Christmas. And they're saying they won't be. Say what? And the lyrics take us on a pretty wild ride. Immediate thoughts. Well, I'll say this. I watched a live performance of this, and Mark kind of went into a little history of the song where I guess they wrote it in 98 for a K-Rock radio station Christmas event. It was kind of like a twisted Christmas thing, so they wrote it with that in mind back in 98. So some of the lyrics that we'll get to in a bit might reflect where the world was in 1998 as opposed to 2008 or 2018, perhaps. Initial thoughts on the song?
I think the opening is really funny with like the super over the top bad caroling. Very Blink-182 to do that, right?
Well, let me bring this to a screeching halt. They're pretty rough on carol. Wow, that's a tough word. Carolers. They're pretty rough on them during the first verse. Tweet at the show if that's a tough word for you to say. Just kidding. Doing fine here on a Sunday morning. Yeah, you and I and Zach and Adam in our old high school band, and our buddies Aaron Lonkey and some of the people that were just in your neighborhood, we're not afraid to. It was kind of an annual tradition. I think probably all four. As much as we all committed heavy to Halloween costumes, we also committed pretty heavily to at least caroling once a year, right?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. It was kind of like a super last minute decision one year to like call everyone I knew and ask if they wanted to carol. And it was, our band, Aaron, I think Liz might have been there. And we just went door to door for like hours caroling. And the two distinct memories I have were polar opposite reactions. One lady invited us in and gave us all cookies and said that she was baking some for her daughter, but she let us all take some, and which I don't know, just like, hey, you want to come into my house? Seems like such a foreign concept, right?
Yes.
But like, hey, 9 teenagers, you want to just enter my home? But the second one was this guy came out like brushing his teeth, and he was like, whoa, what do you want? Some money or something?
Yeah, I remember that one a lot. I would say it was about 10% very not interested. Yeah. And then I would say 30% like very into it, like, cool, man, I didn't think people did this anymore. And then what is it, 60% left were just like, we'll stand here, but I don't know how many songs you guys are expecting us to sit here for. You know what I mean? Like, it's cold, this is bullshit. So I could see from an eerie weather standpoint why people would be a little maybe not willing to enter that third song or even second song based on how cold it was. But
well, also no, I think we would do 2 if they seemed into it. But the weird thing about caroling is they open the door and you just fucking start singing. Like, there's no like, hey, would you like a song?
Maybe we should do an episode on the etiquette of caroling itself. As a singer, how do you approach the door? And then as a door opener, what do you want out of the interaction? It's kind of a like, if they say no, thank you, you just say, yep, alrighty. It's like, no, hey, listen, man, we came here to sing, and we're gonna we're going to effing sing.
Regionals is right around the corner. We got to sing.
Right, exactly.
No, it is weird because the only option you give them is to just shut the door in your face, interrupt you and say like, I'm sorry, I'm busy, or they politely wait it out hoping that you don't do the full 3.5 minutes. So it's kind of awkward for everyone, but it's like the forgiving nature of the Christmas spirit to just like, just let them do their thing, you know?
I'd say there's a lot of, of all the things in life that are like kind of, worth the effort, catching someone who's very into it and offers you cookies or whatever is I got to say a pretty nice feeling. Like, you're all into it. You caught the Christmas spirit that night. They're into it. They were doing if you happen to catch someone doing a tree or doing their cookies, they're like, yeah, man, I'm glad you guys stopped by. I was literally, because we set up our tree yesterday, and essentially I was very in the mood for anything Christmas. Like immediately, I was like, yeah, man, this is where it's at. I'm dedicating today to do it. Now, I'm not in that zone every single day as soon as Thanksgiving is over. But yeah, so maybe that's just what it is. You got to catch people when they're at the peak. If you get 2 peaks meeting on the same night, it's magical. Cookies get shared. It's a beautiful thing. But that digression aside, Mark Hoppus was not exactly in the mood for caroling the night.
He's the one getting ready for the date, asking if we're a fucking charity case.
Yeah. He the night he's describing, he's about to have a mental breakdown. He's not in the mood for Christmas at all. And he's not into the caroling. People stop by, and then he takes a baseball bat to like some of Santa's little helpers and stuff. It gets violent super quick. Memorable lyrics in verse 2 or 3. Well, I guess it's not cool to freak on Christmas Eve because the cops came and arrested me. They had an unfair advantage. And even though the jail didn't have a Christmas tree, a night early, a guy named Bubba unwrapped my package. So definitely like Harold and Kumar, 2000s, late 90s, I guess nutsack humor. It's hard, I guess, to really say what that is. But when you watch the live versions, they don't really get too campy with that line. I mean, he just sings it pretty straight. But good chorus, I think. It's weird because we're just fans of Blink-182, so it's like, hey man, yeah, this could have been. I think 98 would have been heading into the 99 release of Enema, so they were in the zone. As soon as you hear the tom guitar part, you're like, this is undoubtedly a Blink-182 song.
Yeah, I think they do a very good job of it. And again, we might just be Blink apologists. Everything they touches turns to gold, etc.
Yeah.
But
it's like, well, All Time Low, not so good. Blink's was great,
Right. So, you gotta understand just where we're coming from. Up until California, they could do no wrong.
Man.
But California was pretty good at. I liked it. It was fine. 9 was a fucking train wreck.
I didn't realize we were going to set off a chain of events that was rather unfortunate when I uttered the phrase, I think California might be better than neighborhoods. Everyone went ballistic, which, hey, we haven't had that full discussion yet. We'll do it sometime later. But yes, I think you mentioned that this appeared in pop culture. So let's maybe touch on that before we try to take a stab at whether or not this one became a classic. And when I say classic, I mean, like generally next to that Kelly Clarkson song, Underneath the Tree or whatever, that has somehow elbowed its way against all odds into like common rotations on Alexa playlists and stuff. Like, so we're not saying a classic within the genre, or what to us as listeners, was this able to transcend, I guess, is really what we're going for. Is that right?
Yeah. I feel like this song was very present through my growing up, I guess. Like, I visit this most Christmases. A couple things that really blew my mind is when you said written in 98, I was like, there's no way. Because every time you see the artwork for it, it's take off your pants and jacket, like branding. But in 98, Scott Rayner played drums on this song. And if you listen, I can't believe it took me 22 years to notice this was absolutely not Travis Barker's drumming style. It's definitely pre-Enema Tom's lead guitar style. I didn't realize this song was that old. That kind of blew my mind to
it informs a lot. You think about some of the demos that are out there on YouTube that are Enema songs before they got into the studio to lay it down with a real producer, and you're like, okay, yeah, this was just a pretty like fly by the seat of their pants garage band from San Diego at that point, still post Dude Ranch kind of. Like they were a little rough around the edges, but kind of informs this song maybe a little more.
Right. Someone on YouTube did say, Brandon Cohoot on YouTube said, this song was heard in the 8 Crazy Nights soundtrack, which first of all, I love just dropping some facts in the comments, like no agenda, just this song was heard.
Yeah. The spirit of Wikipedia, like everyone just wants like to like, hey, that's helpful. Thanks.
Right. And another comment in the YouTube was CB156 said, I'm here to wash the Not Another Christmas Song taste out of my ears, which my brain had totally deleted that. I think I probably made it halfway through the song. I never listened to Alkaline Trio growing up. It was just not a band I was aware of. And I'm really not a fan of the way Matt sings, especially in a Blink-182 song, and his is like so grating in that song, man. I think
so
what 20 years will do for a band's style of writing Christmas songs, strongly prefer. I won't be.
So Not Another Christmas Song, a song by Alkaline Trio, and Matt Skiba taking a few strays here as we work through the list. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Just laying down for the official record, the court stenographer's over to the side. Well, hey, there you go. If you disagree, if the Alkaline Trio song was supposed to be, I mean, that fits into a Zag for sure.
Well, it's a Blink song, but it's Matt. It's like Blink with Matt in it.
Gotcha. Okay, my bad. I misinterpreted it as an early Alkaline Trio Christmas song attempt.
No, this is from 2019.
So Blink has done this more than once. The sins they've given, yeah. I guess if you're around that long, that's like Weezer level late career weirdness, in my opinion. Like, really, you're gonna do another Zag Christmas song? That's pretty wild. Good for them. Congrats on all your success, I guess.
Hey everybody, sorry for those Matt Skiba strays, but I want to redirect to an attitude of gratitude. I very humbly want to thank our Patreon supporters, the Council of Elders, our top tier contributors. Andre Prevost, thank you so much, man. Johnny Leftwich, really appreciate the support. Jason Carey, dude, thank you so much for being with us. And Anonymous. It doesn't need to be creepy, but thank you so much for being in our Patreon. And thank you to everyone in our Patreon. If you'd like to check it out, you can head over to patreon.com/reminiscent. Check out the different tiers that we offer, all the different bonuses and extras. We're going to be doing a couple fun things for the Christmas season. So if you want to check it out, again, patreon.com/reminiscent. Thank you to everyone so much. We love you all. Back to the show.
Let's move on to some of the heavy hitters. We got two of the heavy ones left. I put them last because they're Zagged, and I think they're the best chances we have at the Is This a Classic? Let's do Don't Shoot Me Santa by the Killers. Video, yes, with a capital Y. There is a pretty wild, I'll say short film. No, but yeah, there's a video. Have we mentioned that they and Panic at the Disco are from Vegas? Have we mentioned that yet? No, they're in the desert. I guess I'll just keep describing. If you haven't heard the song, it opens up with a dialogue between Brandon Flowers and a Santa Claus character, which, similar to the music video for All Time Low's Merry Christmas, Kiss My Booty, a little dialogue, we're having fun, or maybe the crappy singing before the Blink song. Like, we're setting up that this is not something that's in their catalog or on their albums. It's just like, this is a standalone kind of weirdness thing. Essentially, Flowers is lamenting like a lounge, like the Vegas lounge singer he is. Santa, I've been killing just for fun. And then Santa replies, "Party's over, kid, because I've got a bullet in my gun." And everyone's like, "What?" And then they go into the song. But in the video, that is played out through puppets at the scene of this like camp out that this rogue dress up Santa has captured Brandon Flowers. But in the song, I guess the narrator essentially has straight up murdered the kids in his neighborhood for poking fun at him, and then Santa has to deal with this kid's transgressions because he is on the naughty list, perhaps, obviously. This is mustache era Flowers. I think they were getting maybe a little high on their own supply, a little bit of Fame Monster stuff going. I think the music video for Spaceman is what I think of when I think of peak mustache Flowers. Just doing weird stuff, because they can, and they were writing great stuff at the time. So sure, I'm kind of glad this Christmas song exists because it's insane. I also want to note that it's my dad's new favorite Christmas song. I think weirdly in like 2018, he got like one of our old smartphones. He was kind of like late to the game to like even want to approach that level of tech. But he got Spotify and his mind was blown because he got to listen to his old favorite Nitty Gritty Dirt Band records and things like that. But he was looking for the perfect Christmas playlist. And maybe this might speak to whether or not this has become kind of elbowed its way into maybe a pre-classic or on the route to because of how weird it is. But it made it on his playlist. And he loves just how strange it is. And it was kind of weirdly his introduction to the Killers, which I was like, not proud of, but like, hey man, we'll take any converts however we can. You know what I mean? Not that there's too many Killer haters out there. But thoughts, I guess I'll back way up, Tom. I was just excited to talk about this one. Let's start with the video. We don't have to get into the song quite yet. Thoughts on, we watched this the other day when I was helping you move, trying to prep for this episode. Initial reactions, overall thoughts?
I feel like it was like a hypnosis induction video into some cult or something. Like it was so like too weird for me, man. It's fucking weird, but I do want to talk about, we see the desert, and to me that's just like, you know, the common thing is like tons of snow, right? I don't understand how people from like Nevada or California or stuff like that get into the Christmas spirit. To me, a Christmas without snow is the most depressing thing that can happen.
I'm so glad you said that. When I moved to New Mexico after college, I was in that position where you grow up and you expect, I don't know, you're just a kid growing up. So then by the time you reach maybe pretty late young adulthood, you're like, oh, so, you know, you assume the world was full of cities like Erie, where their downtowns were just a bunch of abandoned factory buildings and things like that. And like you got 8 feet of snow every day in the winter and things like that. And that's obviously an overestimation of inch stuff
Not
for the snow.
Too far off.
Right, exactly. But then you grow up being like, oh, a lot of the world handles a lot of different things differently, obviously. But I'm glad you made that point, because for us as kids, and I kind of hinted at this earlier when I said most of my Christmas favorites are just the, you know, quality of music aside, are just the ones that were on, you know, the mixtapes and mix CDs that my mom had, you know, in the house growing up.
A literal mixtape, like magnetic tape.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm glad you said that, because it's like, I think Christmas should have snow only because all of our Christmases had a lot of snow growing up. So that's just pretty much, yeah, right. Right. Well, no such thing as too much on the day of, I would argue. But
for sure.
I think by verse 2 in this song, you start to realize, or at least in the video, that Santa's also a little demented at this point. The narrator, Brandon Flowers, has done some killing, yes, but Santa's about to make this guy's life pretty rough. Starts digging a shallow grave in the desert. There's like lizards and stuff. And yeah, they're out in the middle. I'm assuming somewhere in the Mojave, just outside of, you know, I don't know. I don't want to say stuff like just off the strip, because I've only been to Vegas like once or twice in my life and I don't really know what I'm talking about. But essentially off the beaten path, Flowers is being held. And he's probably going to die, and he's going to end up in that grave, you start to assume. But Santa is going off on this monologue as he's digging, and he's like, well, I love all the kids out there, blah, blah, blah. You know, I used to watch you as a kid, you know, when you were just a boy out in that sweet, soaking in that sweet Mojave rain. And then like kind of a mariachi band comes in, and Flowers starts to sing like, in the sweet Mojave rain. And it goes pretty off the rails, I guess. But then they come back to the chorus. But, you know, Flowers is trying to, you know, say, Santa, I've been a clean living boy. I promise you. You know, the kids were making fun of me. I had to do it. I thought I was doing what I had to do to protect my rep at the playground type thing. Anyhow, by the end of the video, we should speed this up. There's some good killer synth in there. I think ultimately, you know, the band comes to save Brandon after a while when the drunken, demented Santa Claus is unable to finish what he set out to do, which is, I guess, be judge, jury, and executioner for the sins Flowers has admitted to. They're both losing their minds in this scene, both in the song and in the video. You know, but the song ends, the video ends as it began, kind of in this surreal, dissonant tones. I don't think it's trying to be a good song, but I'll ask you, Tom, is it?
This song made me feel like, it honestly pains me to say this, maybe I don't even like the Killers. I just like 2 or 3 of their songs.
You're on the record as we tried to do a Hot Fuss episode a long time ago. And it was pretty clear early that, yeah, I don't think you are a Killers fan.
They just wrote two of the best songs of all time. But overall, I think their music's like a little too weird for like off the wall. Like the reason I don't like the Beatles is...
Damn, I thought we were going to get through an episode without it coming up. That's fine. All right, so, here we are.
It's too hard.
If you're just joining us, Tom and I don't share that opinion. If you're here weekly, you know this to be true, and we can keep trucking.
So I know that not every beat, they've gone through movements, whatever. But I feel like when it's too hard to like to find the beat and bob your head to it for long enough, and then they change it to something else, it's like, this is work for me to get through this. And that's kind of what this song felt like. It kept changing in these different... It was just a little too experimental for me, but I'm also like... My favorite genre is just like pure pop. So like unsurprising take from me. Who cares? Whatever.
Right. You like very glistening pop punk records and just pop, in general. Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me. But I'm going to say it is. I think there's a little bit of synth in there, about 2/3 through the song, very Killersy. The choruses, the theme we've hit for every one of these. This is definitely a song that was written by the band that's performing it. And the elements of the chorus are the reason. I like them for the reason I like the Killers in general. So I'm going to say yes, I enjoy it on its own. Did it become a classic, Tom?
I've never heard of it. I mean, I don't know. Sure, if your dad's listening to it, we'll call it a classic.
I'm going to say yes. I think of all the 5 we talk about today, I thought there was only going to be 1 out of 5 success rate. I think it might be 2, but if it is 1, I think this might be the one, because I Googled Christmas songs heading into like our Christmas playlist stuff doing our tree yesterday. Don't Shoot Me Santa was in that first Google chunk of stuff you can scroll through. Unfortunately, no disrespect to Kelly Clarkson at all, but Underneath the Tree, it's just not for me. But you start to think of the modern, quote unquote, modern classics that sneak into those, like Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, Feliz Navidad, all those things like that. I think it's, and again, just from a Google search standpoint, it was in that first slate, that first chunk. So I'm like, I think the bastards did it. I think they might have snuck one in there. They went total weird with it. And we'll talk next week. We got a question from Adrian about novelty songs. And less because of a Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree type way, but more in a I Got a Hippopotamus for Christmas type way, where it's just like, what the hell is this? But it's good enough to belong on a list where you don't always want to be super emotional throughout that playlist. You can't always just be having... I guess you get a little bit of the religious stuff, a little bit of the soulful stuff, a little bit of the rock and stuff. You want your playlist to be, Christmas playlist to be, pretty diverse, I guess. But I think this gets to sneak in there as an obscure, I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas type song. Anyway, okay. That's my takeaway. I think this would be our best shot of a Zagged song becoming a classic.
Yeah, it's definitely in novelty territory, but you can't knock it for that. It's, as much as I don't really like it, I really respect the effort, is what I'll say.
I will say the same. The video was nothing if not entertaining, similar to the All Time Low stuff. It's like, I'm not going to get mad that they went for it. Nothing wrong with taking swings.
The one thing I really love about the video is like they're really stylizing it. In the song, Brendan goes, woo! And in the video, he like looks at the camera like he has no soul at all and just like so lazily says woo. And that like threw me off. I laughed so hard at that.
Mustache Flowers is a delightful period for a lead singer to have gone through. Similar to Mike swinging Adam Lazzara, and there are a multitude of examples. But let's do the big ticket item, the one that everyone's been waiting for probably. You'll Shoot Your Eye Out.
Yes.
Negative, a zag. It's a relationship song similar to the All Time Low, but maybe handled with a little more care. You'll Shoot Your Eye Out. They spell it Y-U-L-E, clever, but it's also one of those movie references we've come to love Fall Out Boy for. Their band name is a Simpsons thing. They do, similar to Brand New, they do a lot of the Wes Anderson movie nods and things like that. Thing. Yeah, I think it's a Nuclear Man or something, and Fall Out Boy is his like sidekick in one of their like offshoot, because there's like a nuclear plant that Homer works at in the town of Springfield. Anyway, it's like I think it's a deep cut, but I don't know. Simpsons enthusiasts will be able to correct us there. But yes, anyway. Our Fall Out Boys are very into their pop culture references. So true to form, they hit us with a line from A Christmas Story here, and proceed to play a hell of an acoustic jam, Tom. This is probably your favorite on the list, if I had to guess.
It's one of my favorite Christmas songs ever. And some of that is because the memories of, we did our inaugural history of 4 under par and 10 points a couple weeks ago. But one of the earliest memories of that band is, And my memory's a little scrambled on it, but we played it at this, like, we called it a mock show in my mom's living room. We charged our friends $1 to come listen to us play like 5 songs. And did we play? So in my mind, in my memory, Adam is saying, man, that lead part's actually kind of hard to play, but he wasn't in the band for that show. So did we play this and did you sing this in our living room, or was that like a year later? Do you remember?
I think my memory, and this all bleeds together, admittedly might be incorrect, but I think everyone left and Adam stayed and was jamming with us, and that's the day we learned he wanted to be in the band. Oh. And I think one of the big ticket items for us was he had been working on it and played it, and Zach sang to it, and then we were all like, oh, Adam's our 4th member, you know?
Yes. Because we also played Sugar We're Going Down, where Zach sang. Because for that show, you just kind of like bit the bullet. You're like, I mean, if we don't have a singer, I'll just do it. Which to this day, I still can't believe you did, because that allowed us to just like, doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to be doing something. And, you know, it allowed things to kind of get in motion. Yeah. So Adam stayed and played some songs with us. Interesting.
Well, I think so with a lot of creative endeavors, and this is true to TV characters, you don't really know what the thing you created is until you get into it and see it. A lot of pursuits are like that, I guess. But yeah, so I think we had to just go do something, you know, like, hey, what does this feel like? What does it feel like to do it? And obviously a lot of good came out of that day. But yeah, fond memory of Adam, his library, his mental capacity for remembering covers is second to none.
Insane.
And laid it down. You know, if we gave points to Newfound Glory for the bells and the similar melodies worked into the tune, Fall Out Boy does all of that very well here, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a really good example of kind of that like negative sad boy Christmas that's not like, I think it's more like sincere, and maybe that's part of like what it has going for it is the sincerity behind it. They tie in the Christmas elements. It's obviously like the time in the universe of the song is around Christmas. They talk about gifts.
Little bit of a, you know, I don't know if we're going full angstometer here, but they're making the needle bounce a little bit with the "You're the Last Thing I Want to See Underneath the Tree" stuff. So they're not straying from the angst either.
This is deep in the era of just hating ex-girlfriends, pretty much. Like, very problematic, you know, whatever. I don't know. I guess it's okay.
Yeah, well, I'll jump to the memorable lyric for this particular selection. Quote, "The gifts you're receiving from me will be 1 awkward silence and 2 hopes you cry yourself to sleep staying up waiting by the phone." So maybe not just a little angstometer blip, but we're going full on big time into the red. So yeah, definitely angst filled. I apologize for misstepping earlier and saying it was only a little blip on the radar there. Any favorite parts, musically, lyrically, anything at all from You'll Shoot Your Eye Out? Even the name of the song in general. What are some of your favorite things about this one?
I really like in the chorus when he sings 1 awkward silence and the guitar goes digga 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 dit, and it has that little break. Oh,
when I was reading the lyrics, I was going to go digga digga dit, but I wasn't sure if that would have disrupted the flow too much.
It's just very well written. I do remember Adam being like, "Ooh, this little lead part, the doom 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 doom, is like kind of difficult. They got the sleigh bells in there, but we've got to talk about the highlight of the song, the key change. Rarely well executed.
The only key change in music history, if I'm not mistaken. This is the only time any
the only
bands,
one that matters, really.
Well, I'm glad you came out and said that it was a key change first, because I've gone my life not really knowing, but being kind of sure I knew what a key change was. But yes, this is the only time it's ever happened. I'm really pretty sure there's no other examples. A rare, great, or not great, you tell me, version of a pop punk key change.
Super good. It just goes up half a step, I think. But it adds a lot of character, like a lot of surprise, definitely. I remember my ex, Hannah, was like violently against key changes. She would not listen to a song that had a key change in it. And all I can think of is how much she's missing out for not not giving this song more spins with that killer key change, man. And like, it's already angsty enough, and then it just goes up half a step, and you're like, what the flip and flip?
Whoa, we have not very skillfully tried to avoid the swears. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get down to brass tacks here, because I think we're running maybe a touch long on this one, longer than we expected to anyhow. Okay, so if the Killers' Don't Shoot Me Santa has, through a hippopotamus lane, you know, scratched and clawed its way into maybe a more of a common modern classic from the 2000s from this genre. I guess two-part question. Did this one? And if not, should this one, and what would be the path to making it so?
Is this one a classic? This is the song that all other songs have to measure up against in order to be a classic. This is the classic of all classics.
I'm talking, would this, well, okay, so yes, like for the purposes of the show, this is the favorites. This is the favorite of any effort down the, granted, All I Want for, or Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Relient K is tremendous, but I think You'll Shoot Your Eye Out is our consensus number one.
Number one original, yeah.
Well, or just from any of the bands we talk about on the show, I think You'll Shoot Your Eye Out for us, it's tough to be a better, I guess, Christmas experience for the pop punk 2000s emo fan. But from an Alexa playlist, Google page results standpoint, this is a different question. Is this, a classic on those terms?
Oh, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
You've heard, okay. So you think the general public has accepted this Fall Out Boy song as...
They better.
Okay. Well, hey, I love the energy. I love the enthusiasm. I don't know if that's true or real or accurate, but I hope so. I hope you're right. I'm not sure. You tell us. What do you think? @_reminiscent_FM on Twitter. But yeah, those are the 5 we wanted to talk about. I don't know if you had any honorable mentions or any things you wanted to kind of, not that we have to rush out of here, but these are all good ones. I mean, I think we all like, or I guess I don't want to speak for you, but every year you get a chance to revisit some of these ideas, some of these songs, and we learned about some new ones. I think there's a Day to Remember one that was positive, so we didn't include it on this list. And pretty fun video for them as well. But yeah, it's nice to have revisit these at once every year and kind of, oh yeah, well, that was pretty, anyway, fun to do it. Any closing thoughts, I guess?
I mean, I would give a song of the week that would be like an honorable mention. Maybe next year we talk about the best covers, like in the same way we did, best originals or whatever. But the YouTube algorithm led me to Newfound Glory's Nothing for Christmas. I think it came out post 2010. I believe it was 2014. It was it's a positive song. It's really sweet. And it's Nothing for Christmas, which makes me think like I'm getting nothing for Christmas, like I've been bad. But the lyrics are, Christmas is coming, so don't buy me anything. I got what I wanted. I got what I needed. It's you, it's you, it's you. A very surprisingly Christmas love song coming from Newfound Glory. I would like that to be my only honorable mention, my song of the week. I heard that song for the first time today. It is very, very good. And sincere, which is, I guess, surprising coming from Newfound Glory, but I really, really enjoyed that one.
Okay. Song of the week for me, and these are just going to be ripped from Tom's moving playlist from a few months back, or a couple months back at this point. What Happened to Me by Wager from 2019. I think I like it mostly because they're kind of playing off the Weezer Blue album cover, and then they start the song as if it's a Pinkerton song with the drum thing, like El Scorcho, but then they go into their own music. It's like, what the heck's going on here? But fun song. I like it. Thanks for the submissions, everybody, on that playlist. And I'll be thanking you for those submissions for the next 10 to 15 songs of the week for me personally.
Right.
Yeah, open our eyes to a lot of good stuff. I think that's it for me. I didn't pick a Christmas one. You did, but I think that's okay. I think I wanted to start getting through some of these playlist ones.
Yeah, also speaking of playlists, we put out our top 200 songs of all time playlist to celebrate our 200th episode. That is up on Spotify. You can go to reminiscentpodcast.com/top200 to listen to that playlist. We might need to,
there's a couple of adjustments that need to be made, as pointed out by those on Twitter. But if you haven't seen them yet, they don't exist. If you haven't seen them yet, it was never an issue. It was never a problem.
It's a living document.
Yeah. Well, there's the two that I saw were You Wouldn't Last a Minute on the Creek by Chiodos. There's a deluxe album version and the regular original version.
I took care of it.
Oh, okay. And then there's two from Flavor of the Week. There's a live and a non-live version of it. So we'll have to make some adjustments and use the spirit of the Force to maybe fill in those slots. But we'll keep it to a tight 200, no more, no less, because music tastes are an objective science that can be gotten to the bottom of. So anyway, this is fun. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas if that's your thing. Happy holidays. Thanks for being here. It's been a great year. Excited to begin mapping out our January, get back to some stuff here. But I'm also kind of excited to have some fun next week with our mailbag. Thanks to all of you who submitted questions. That should be a fun one. Hopefully it can get you through some drives if you're going to see anybody, but if not, if you're staying home, which is what everyone should be doing, hopefully you can have something to listen to while you're rapping or something like that. So thanks for being here, Tom. I love you. It's been a fun year. It's been a fun couple months here as we have gotten you back east of the Mississippi. And lots of fun to be had in the year ahead.
Yep. Love you, man. Love you all. And let's over to the Patreon post show. Give them some more.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. We really, really hope you all have a great holiday season. I hope you have a fun time with your friends, your families, hopefully a little bit of time off work to relax and take care of yourself. Please hit us up on Twitter at _reminiscentfm and let us know your favorite pop punk Christmas song that zagged when others zigged. And make sure to stick all the way through to the end to hear this week's sponsors, the band Project Revise's new single, Downside Up. We love you all so much. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everyone.
To you to break us out from this feeling that we're living.